my name's Jonathan Black, and welcome to Singapore. It's quite hot and muggy here at the moment, and I'm here for a couple of days and surrounded by people. And it got me thinking about networking, ironically, and in particular networking when you're an introvert, when you are somebody who is more comfortable in a smaller group, more kind of serious conversations, you're more of a natural listener and so on. And often the concept of networking, it seemed to be about selling, about kind of working a room, getting business cards, other bits and pieces and so on. And so I thought it would be quite timely and quite useful for a number of people, and this is particularly designed for the more natural introverts out there in the workspace who want to improve their networking skills, but are kind of put off by the idea of going to events and having to work a room, work a crowd and engage in chit chat and so on. And so I thought I'd give people a few tips basically. And some of the tips I'm going to give might be a little bit controversial or a little bit alternative in that sense, because one of the first tip I'm going to give is basically, I think as an introvert, is work to your strengths. And your strengths as an introvert, as an introverted networker, are small groups. The strengths are being someone who's a listener. And one of the key skills as a networker, as an introvert, is don't go to events where you are the only person that you know, because you're going to feel very uncomfortable and you're not going to be able to mask it in some particular way. So make sure you don't be a solo operator. If you're going to go to an event, piggyback. And what I mean by piggyback, I mean piggyback off a presentation. In other words, you're there to listen to content, and you can have conversations with others beside you or at the same table around the content of the presentation, or go with a colleague or go to meet someone in particular. So you piggyback off the content of a presentation that gives you a topic to talk about, or you piggyback off a colleague or colleagues, which means it gives you people to talk to and therefore engage in conversation with others. Another key tip as well is to be aware of what your goals happen to be. And there are various goals of networking. Is it to make sales? Is it to learn? Is it to meet new people? Is it to cement and engage existing working and collegial relationships, and whatever sphere it happens to be, because your goal will define the approach that you take and also the kind of event that you go to. If you're not a natural salesperson, or your selling technique is around building relationships and sowing seeds and farming, then the idea of coming to an event where your success is determined by how many business cards you get is not necessarily the same thing. Then again, if your goal is to learn, meet people and make an impact on them, then a key aspect of networking skill is about your ability to ask questions, and particularly ask questions of others. Get people engaging in conversation. The third tip is about this. The art of conversation and small talk and networking is not about your ability to talk, it's about your ability to listen. And I've mentioned this in a couple of other nuggets before, and that is the ability to ask powerful questions. And the definition of a powerful question is a question that is relevant to somebody in particular. In other words, it's something that is important to them. And two, it gets them thinking in a different way. And we can do that in a variety of different kind of tools and techniques and strategies and so on. The fourth and final wee tip I'll give, and this particularly for an introverted networker as well, is often introverts find engaging with other people can be very enjoyable, but it can be very draining. And often introverts need that self-time in order to recharge the batteries and so on. So the fourth tip I'd give is to learn and acquire or master the skill of being in your own bubble and being comfortable with that. The ability to be at the edge of the room or walk into a room and you are comfortable just being on your own. Don't rush up to something. Survey, take a drink, take a cup of tea, take a cup of coffee, look, review. You'll often find people who are on their own, they're solo operators as well, and often all they're looking for is someone to come up and say, "Hi, I'm Jonathan, who are you? What brings you here today? What are you looking forward to learning? You know, tell me a little bit about your business, your company, your background or so on." The natural art of conversation. Because there are always people who are on their own who are simply hoping someone else comes up to them. Those are 4 key tips. I'll finish off with the final 5th one, and that is when you're sitting next to people, don't be shy of introducing yourself. Now, some cultures are very good at this, and some aren't so good at this. Simply turning around, and the moment you shake someone's hand, the moment they give you their first name in particular, and in some cultures that's more important than others, particularly Northern Hemisphere cultures, there's often a little more of a formal kind of orientation, and Australasian cultures are very much more informal orientation. The moment someone gives you their name, it opens up the conversation too, and it calls and bites later conversation no matter what's taking place at that particular event. So a few very simple networking tips for introverts in particular, and hope that's worthwhile. Thanks very much.